The whole world now is suffering because of natural disasters, which are earthquakes, strong storms, lightning, among others. There are some measures which were put in place in order to prevent such disasters here in Malawi. Now, with the absence of everything which was put in place, a very strong storm known as Cyclone erupted. Cyclones are mostly generated from large oceans in which countries or islands which are nearby these oceans are mostly to be affected. Recently, the southern part of Africa, which consists of countries like Mozambique and Malawi, just to mention a few, got affected with a cyclone known as Ana. This cyclone hit some parts of Mozambique and Malawi as well. In Malawi, Cyclone Ana negatively affected the country, especially in Salima, Mulanje, Chiladzulu, Blantyre and Chikwawa districts. Now we'll take you to Chikwawa district, which is found in the southern region of Malawi. In the history of natural disasters, Chikwawa has always been among the topmost areas to be affected by floods for several years. But this time, things were worse, because no one expected what happened in Chikwawa. When we visited the district after these floods, there was a worse situation.
Chera shava. Filazo mbala kumuka. Changu mlanchiani. Agwini Napolo. Sinapolo tuwambola ya. Kwa chilombo cha chote chicha. Napolo ama onunga mizi. Ndipo ama onunga wanu. Napolo iwajabe. Napolo iwajabe. Napolo wajabe. Napolo wajabe.
Inali radio yaba 24 imene timayembekezeka kuti gogojalo.
The 24th January 2022 morning was bright as ever. People were getting ready to meet at the village square for this long-awaited ceremony. But alas, all the land was covered, or rather blanketed, with rainwater from the heavy rains we had been having for the past few days. As soon as the locals got wind of this news, their excitement left their bodies. All the drumming we had been hearing since the announcement had stopped, and the villagers were murmuring among themselves. As councillors, we met with Gogojalo to discuss this turn of events and to find a way forward. We concluded that it was best if the installation ceremony was postponed to the next day, hoping it would be sunny, but little did we know. All the guests we had hosted were provided with means of transport to return to their respected homes until the postponed date. The villagers returned to their homes with wrong faces, and the buzzing energy they had had earlier that morning was long gone. But there was also hope in their eyes, the hope for tomorrow. The time was exactly 28 minutes past 11 when we heard a commotion outside. The security guards at Pata were shouting for the people to move to area of high altitude, for there was a flood coming because of the heavy rains we have been experiencing. The rivers had filled to the brim. While we were like that, we started preparing ourselves to go to higher grounds, but we had no chance to take everything with us. We only think of taking care of ourselves, to go to higher grounds, but we had no chance to take everything with us. We only think of taking care of ourselves. Everyone went to a different direction, where there was higher ground, but this was not helping because for a short period of time, those grounds were also covered by water. By this time, the village of Kazumba, water was at a higher level. The next morning, when we started following the water path, we failed to meet our friends at Frank village because the water was already full. After 2 days entering Frank's village, it's when we noticed that everywhere there was water. So on this day, it was difficult for children to survive. Many properties were lost. Here at Gogojalo, as you can see, you can agree with me that this was not a game. These floods have destroyed a lot of properties because those properties belong to different families, which is too worthy of Kwacha, in which I don't know the exact amount. But a lot of people's property got lost because when they were learning, they had to move out with only their lives. Due to many rivers which surrounded us, A lot of people have been affected here at Gogo Masea. On reports which we have gathered from our chiefs, we have lost 2 women from Sande village and another from Jambuluka in the area of Group Headman Frank. There was a lady who passed away. This woman was an elder and she was staying with her grandchildren. When she was in her room, she later decided to go out to ease herself. When she opened the door, this gave a chance to water, which entered her house, and she was washed away by water. Chinkuyu was not the only person under Gogo Masea who was affected by these floods. Mrs. Elizabeth Isaac, who comes from Puleya 1 village, Group Headman Beleu, T.A. Masea, saw everything which was happening on this fateful day. People are just thanking God because of what He did to them. Cecilia Ellison is one of them. On this day, Cecilia Ellison only tried to save her life by running to a higher ground, but all her belongings got washed away by water. I am Mrs. Elizabeth Isaac from Puleya 1 village, Group Headman Beleu, T.A. Masea here in Chikwawa. Water started overflowing Monday night around 10 o'clock, but was not as much as those of Tuesday morning, which started overflowing that before. It was around 7 o'clock when waterways along the tarmac road failed to contain the water and started overflowing over the road because the waterways are too small. We'd like to cross from Makaza, but other people were far from here. It happened that because of the small size of the waterways, water had to reach here, and it was around 10 o'clock it reached to an extent of which the water was reaching the chest level. So for us to get organized and rescue our properties was too hard, because water just came at once and no one was expecting it. We started moving with our properties from our homes to Chilumba, because that place is a little bit higher. When we came back to get what we left, we found that the whole house had fallen and all our properties were washed away by water. We had nothing to say, but we were just thanking God because He has saved our lives. But all our properties, which were clothes, food, even the iron sheets, were all gone. And our house, which was our only shelter, had fallen. As you can see, we don't have anywhere else to go. This has affected us because all our food has been washed away with water, and education has been affected as well. Since in all schools there's a lot of mud, and yesterday we all went to the school in order to remove those mud in all classrooms so that classes may resume the following week. Although this will be too difficult because all school necessities such as books have been washed away by water. So for us to have money and replace those lost school items, it will be a bit difficult. We cannot say to the government that we need this and that now, but I'd like if they could help us with a higher place to build our houses. We cannot possibly get iron sheets and cement, but only bricks we are able to afford here. Our children need books and school uniforms. We will also need food, but all wishers will see in what way they will help us with. But we are lacking a lot of things as of now.
Nyumba yo manga panchenga, ukomba mpepo imagwa, ukafuna kumanga, mumange patantwe, munyengo zonse za imachiriri. Nyumba yo manga panchenga, iringati udzu mchirimwe, ikaomba mpepo, ndikubweretsa moto, chotsali.
Alright, I'm Witness Mlekano, the principal of this school, Babwari CDSS. It is located in T.A. Masea, here in Chikwawa. under the Nzumira cluster, Mbewe zone. My experience with regards to floods, I think this is the worst of its kind since I came here, I think 5 years ago. I think it was on a Tuesday, where the previous night we had heavy rains, but we did not, we were not affected immediately, but the following morning is when we saw that our school was being flooded with water. The water were coming from other areas where we assume that the rivers have flooded. So the water's risen to the window levels, and it entered into our offices, into our classrooms, where a lot of things has been soaked and consequently damaged. We talk of stationery, we talk of office equipment, office furnitures, chemicals for sciences. They are all gone. If we are to estimate the cost, maybe we can go around 15 to 16 million, rough estimates that is. So that's the first effect that we have had. Secondly, the disturbance on the calendar. Now it's a week since we stopped teaching. Again, our students have also been affected from where they are coming from, their parents. Most of the houses have been washed away and the property is gone. That again is another disturbance on our students. Even we, members of staffs, we have also been affected very hard because, for example, 3 of our support staffs, their houses have been washed away and we have lost everything. Some of us, our properties have been soaked and damaged. So again, it has had that psychological effect almost on each one of us. Of course, starting again will be very hard because, as we have said, we are starting from zero, and indeed to replace what we have lost, it will take some time, and consequently, it is going to affect the pace on the level where we were operating before this incident. Again, the runners will also be affected. As I've said, it has also psychologically affected them, and again it will also have a negative influence on their studies. I've talked about teachers. They are also affected morally, psychologically, because their living standard obviously will not be the same. So that again is a minus on our part. So far, no, but on the part of our students, we know that some have lost relatives, but for the members of staff, no. Yeah, our prayer is that stakeholders should come in, including the government, because as we have said, we don't have the capacity to go back to the level that we are operating if we are to rely on local resources. So that's our main prayer. Again, we can also ask for psychosocial support, as I've said. Even if the students, the teachers have been psychologically affected. So again, that will also go a long way to at least uplift the spirits that are very low as at now.
The saddest thing is that some people were able to get loans from NEF, but little did they know that they will not be able to repay it. This program helps people with loans, especially those who are doing small-scale businesses, in order to boost their capital. Cyclone Ana removed this hope from them. Margaret Lossi lives in Group Village Headman Jambuluka, T.A. Masea. She started the business of buying and selling maize with the loan she acquired from NEF.
Dzina langa ndine Margaret Lossi, mudzi munomo ni mwa Puleya wani, Group Jambuluka, T.A. Masea.
This accident happened when water started coming here around 10 o'clock at night. We just took it for granted because water comes here and goes in rainy season. But after some minutes, the water came and filled in all corners of the house. and then we started rescuing some properties, although we did not save all. The house fell down, all left goods which were inside were all washed away by water, and the one that you see here is the one we saved. Since the water took away everything, we sleep while sitting down under the tree using the sucker bag, while the water passes on the other side. As for the remaining maize we had, it was washed away by water. This accident has affected us a lot. We just thank God that we tried to save our lives and have some better place to hide, but to say the fact, we have been fully affected by this accident. In the past years, water was coming, but it was just passing. We were just seeing it over there, and here it was just passing. It never reached to this extent of destroying our houses. We are just asking for help from well wishers, as we have been affected a lot.
Seza nkachimanga zifula kwa Yehova zimba ziti hoera inu muli hoera.
Ine jina langa ndini Juni Kaselema. Yemwe ndili senior.
My name is John Kaselema, the senior group village headman Sunday, and where we are here is known as Babwali Community Day Secondary School, and it is in my area. To me, this history, which has recently happened, I can explain that in my whole life, since 1940 when I was born, I have never experienced these floods. Things have gotten worse here. We could have lost a lot of people, but we have saved others. We were working hand in hand with chiefs, so we tried to save those who were taken by water. In this area, we are affected a lot, because when my chiefs were trying to rescue some people, I came here, then I found that things were too worse. In fact, I was one of the victims. I was just called here to get back home, where I found my house was washed away by water. This has really affected us. We have lost all our properties, clothes, and all our food has gone with water. Because any heavy thing water could carry, it would easily go as a lighter one. We thought that in the camps in which we are settling now, they'll give us some basic needs, such as food and clothes, among others. But this is not the case on the ground. As a senior group here, I cry to the government on behalf of my people. If there's a possibility of them to help us with food, please, it's needed, because all the food we had been washed away by water. In addition to the situation, if they could help us with seeds of various crops, so that when water sinks down, we could replant them in order to have little food. Good health brings in health people, who helps in the developments of a country. As goal number 3 of the SDG states, disasters like cyclones are one of the major hindrances to the sustainable development goals. Health Center, which is the only hospital in this area, has been affected a lot. The nurse in charge of the hospital, Precious Mlongoti, explains.
Right, my name is Precious Mlongoti, facility in charge of Berewu Health Center. Yeah, Berewu Health Center has been affected as well in terms of drugs and other commodities. Yeah, some of our infrastructures has been destroyed, like toilets. In terms of commodities, we have lost one motorbike, fridge, 2 air conditioners, 1 TV plasma, 1 microscope, 1 generator. And of course, for drugs, antimalarials, especially romafentrine and metha, has been affected, and other drugs. it will really affect in terms of service delivery, especially for immunizations. We can't keep vaccines at our facility because we no longer have a refrigerator for vaccine. And also, in this rainy season is when we expect more cases of malaria. And with the damage of these antimalarials, it will really affect our service delivery. Yeah, first of all, we request availability of drugs, especially this rainy season. We also have more cases of diarrhea, so we expect to have more drugs concerning that. And of course, we are requesting a refrigerator for vaccines, and also we need to have toilets for sanitary issues. A motorbike as well has been affected. That will also affect our service delivery, especially immunization to outreach clinics, because we rely on that motorbike. Per day, we see almost 300 to 400 on average. For ART, on average, we have 50 people per day. And for other conditions like blood pressure, diabetes, it's very unfortunate that for a couple of months now, we have been running out of stock of those drugs. So on a daily basis, we came across general conditions.
Naturally, disasters are there by nature, and they cannot be controlled. In this sense, the concerned stakeholders have to implement measures to overcome challenges which are caused by natural disasters.
Habida kumanda